Previously, 201 on ALC.
Tiff, I think it's your turn. Hi everyone, just a short me lecture this week, mainly because I'm giving a lecture on this topic on campus, which will be recorded in the usual way, but also partly because I'm playing a game with my friends. This is a cooperative game. We're not playing against each other, we're playing with each other. And I forgot to explain that fully in relation to the board game I looked at last week, so I thought I'd just touch on this fact that cooperative board games are becoming an increasing phenomenon, and all those behind me right now are also cooperative games, where you play with the other players against the game. And what was so ironic and interesting about that game, like the social game, is that it wasn't a cooperative game, as you might expect a game on social media with its democratic potential to be. It was a competitive game where you tear down your opponents to win. Speaking of cooperation, I'd like to congratulate you on the completion of your collaborative digital media projects. We'll start to have a look at these over the next few days, and I really do look forward to seeing what you've done. Groups have done really well. It's great to see people have gone beyond the university discussion forums, Facebook and email, and looked at things such as Skype and even Teambox, and some things that I'd never heard of and I look forward to following up on. Really fantastic online collaboration. I'm sure that people have found that digital media has massive potential for online cooperation and working together. At the same time, there's been limitations, and that's been part of the exercise too. So I look forward to seeing how you've critically reflected on this. On the whole, groups have worked really, really well. I do understand that there have been some participation issues, but nonetheless, this is part of working together. It's something that you'll be doing, no doubt, lots and lots of times throughout your future career, so you will have learned something from that, and you've done well to stick it out and to put in that final submission. So this week we're continuing to look at how new media is mediated, particularly in film, but also across other genres. In last week's me lecture, I looked at a variety of examples which showed how cultural representations often naturalise digital media, setting aside or marginalising or simplistically resolving the problems that we've sometimes talked about this trimester, such as those concerning surveillance. And surveillance in film will be the focus of my on-campus lecture this week, which is actually in about 12 hours' time. I've set up the theoretical framework for this lecture in last week's study notes, so be sure to have a look at those. And what I'm going to do in the lecture itself is to conduct a close analysis of a film called The Condemned from 2007. This isn't the most complex film in relation to digital media and surveillance, but it's also not the most simplistic. It's a really interesting one to have a look at, and certainly a useful one to make the distinction between what I've been talking about in terms of surface messages, which are often contradicted by the naturalising passive ideologies that are generated underneath the surface of a text. So I'm going to have a look at that film in the lecture. This is a film that overall naturalises digital media and surveillance, even when it, on the surface, explicitly seems to be critiquing these ideas. Not all films are like this, and some films are actually very effective in denaturalising and critiquing the often problematic implications of digital media and its use. In terms of denaturalisation, you might like to think back to a lecture given by David Marshall at the start of trimester, his lecture on online identity and exposure. He mentioned that there's a need to denaturalise and make strange the social media that pervades our everyday lives in order to understand it better. And some films are very good at doing this. And so in addition to having a look in the lecture at a film that naturalises surveillance and reinforces stereotypes through a very voyeuristic and often gendered perspective, what we're going to be having a look at in class is quite a subversive text, one of the episodes in Charlie Brooker's Black Mirror, which I hope that you've already perhaps had a look at already, particularly if you're an off-campus student. There are a number of copies in the library, but nonetheless they will go quickly. And I highly recommend that you have a look at this. And I think that once you watch one episode, no matter which one it is, you'll probably find yourself watching the whole series. There are 3 episodes in the series, all are about 1 hour long. The episode we're going to have a look at in class is called 50 Million Merits. And this is a very biting satire of lots of the different topics we've looked at this trimester, and a great one to discuss and debate. And I'd love for some of that debate to be happening online as well. And so I can't recommend this highly enough. What you might also like to do in relation to this week is think about your own representations of digital media through your Module 2 exercise. You might also like to have a look around at other people's. Many times people were very balanced in their views of different issues, such as trial by social media or sexting or online dating or museums or e-democracy. Quite often some people veered more to the utopian or perhaps dystopian sides, taking account still of different perspectives. What's really interesting though is to look at the value judgments that we place on digital media and always to be aware of these. And of course it's not exactly a new thing that various value judgments such as these have been placed on so-called new media over the decades. As we all know, whenever a new device or application comes out, there is quite often a lot of fear and suspicion, anxiety and moral panic about it. At the same time, there's quite a lot of excitement generated through things like advertisements. So there are utopian and dystopian visions of new media being constructed all of the time. And since you've been so generous in sharing your representations of digital media with us, I thought back and I remembered something that I made in Year 11 back in 1999 actually, starting to feel old, 1999, which portrayed what was then new media in a certain negative and not altogether serious way in relation to dangerous young drivers. I thought I'd give you a look at that now.
Back to the panel. Before the ad break, Rob investigated the problem we all face when it comes to young drivers. But what is the cause? We put this question to Professor Michael Wareham. I am in charge of the study that for the last several years has been trying to find the cause of dangerous young drivers. After countless experiments with children that often proved fatal to them, we have finally found the cause. If you will come with me, I will reveal it to you. The influence on young people begins at a very early age. Okay? And once the addiction has settled into the child's mind, it is very hard to reverse. In fact, almost impossible. Here we are with more scientists hard at work. And here we are. The cause of dangerous young drivers is electronic racing games. As you can see by Paul's arm, we had to break his arm in order to get him off the Nintendo last time. Let me demonstrate what happens when I turn the TV off and therefore interrupt his game. And there you have it. The addiction has been firmly fixed in Luke's brain. Now, let me demonstrate what happens when I destroy his game by turning off the whole console. Oh dear. Get him! He's got my car keys! He's got my car keys! Thank you, Professor.
And now that all respect for me has completely evaporated, the last thing I wanted to talk about briefly in this me lecture is student evaluations. As you'll have already no doubt been made aware through various updates and pop-ups, The student evaluation of teaching and unit system is now online, and I can't encourage you strongly enough to please fill that out for all of your units that you're enrolled in. It's very important for us to get an idea through student feedback of how the unit's going in terms of content, delivery and assessment, and also perhaps even more importantly for casual staff who will use certain feedback in curriculum vitaes and job applications in the future. So please do fill those out. Since we've been taking a Media Studies 2.0 approach, if nothing else, this really does rely on the participation and feedback of students back into a unit for future years. And in relation to this unit specifically, I've got a big favour to ask of you. In order to expand on the feedback we get from the official survey, I've put together an informal student survey, particularly in relation to this unit. This is the first time that ALC 201 has ever run, and certainly it's the first time that I've tormented my dog with videos for teaching purposes like this. I'd really love some general feedback on the specifics of this unit, such as the me lectures, the study notes, and the various kinds of assessment. We'll be bringing a few hard copies of the survey along to classes this week, so if you'd like to fill it out, you'll be able to do so then. If you're an off-campus student and you'd like to fill it out, I would be incredibly grateful if you did. You'll be able to access this as a Word document online, download it and fill it out. It shouldn't take too long. And if you'd like to submit it anonymously, you don't have to, you could just email it to me if you like, but understandably, a lot of people might want to submit it anonymously. You can submit the Word document into a new discussion area that I've put on Cloud Deacon called something like Submission of Informal Survey. So you can also submit anonymous posts there, so just make sure you tick the relevant box when you upload the file. And also, and this is another thing that if you don't know how to do it, you might find it useful in future, in order to make a Word document completely anonymous, you might need to adjust the properties of the document. You can right click on a file, go to Properties, and then select Details, I believe. I've written down Details, and then Remove Personal Information. And then you can click, just in case it's got your name on it, depends how you've set up your computer, your name can actually be in the file properties of a document, so you can click that. Go to Properties, right click the file, go to Properties, and then Details, and remove the personal information. Even if you're not doing the survey, you might want to have a look at how to do that, because in future you may well have to submit anonymous documents for various reasons. So you can upload that as an anonymous message in one of the group discussion areas, the forums online, and that would be much appreciated if you do that. Well, that's all from me for this week. The others are waiting for me to get back to this game. I will see you in about a week's time for the last me lecture for ALC 201. Until then, all the best and cheers. Tiffany, are you going to take your turn? This game is going to take all night.
I can never quite get the hang of staying under the speed limits. I guess that's my only fault as a driver. Yep, always speeding.
I think he's on speed.
What?
Oh, nothing. So how do you concentrate then?
Mate, my concentration is perfect. I can't remember the last time that I didn't keep my eyes on the road. Mate, I am completely honed into every situation of every situation I've ever been in. My concentration is perfect.
Well, what about road rage? Have you ever felt like screaming at pedestrians or anything?
No, of course not. Come on, what the hell are you doing off? Move it! Move it! You stupid old bag! Okay. Now we'll just go up here and turn left. Use the indicator as always.
Oh shit, look out!
Oh jeez, what was that? Oh, don't worry mate, I came prepared. Not a problem. Now we just have to find a spot to bury her.
What are you doing?
We're gonna bury her. What, do you want to get caught?
She's moving! She's not even...
Oh, I'll have to finish her off.
As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, young Australian drivers are the most lethal.
That's done it.